Well, Mississippi State got two new additions to the football team. We'll talk about what kind of difference they could make this season and into the future.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Jaron. I'm a national college football writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon, and we've got a packed show for you today. We've got two new football editions. One was in the transfer portal. One is for the 2026 recruiting class. We unveil some SEC football rankings Saturday down south, put those out. And then we're going to debut a new segment called Next Up in Starkville, where we preview what we're looking forward to over the weekend. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks for joining us. Let's start off with the football editions. First, let's start with what will help them this year, and that's Colin Coates. He's a defensive tackle from Charlotte, defensive lineman. He's 6'2", 300 pounds. He has 3 years of eligibility. He's played 2 seasons, and he has, 27 tackles. He doesn't have a sack yet.
Yeah. And
from ESPN's deal, it doesn't show their tackles for loss. So I'm not sure if he has any of those either. But nonetheless, 6'2", 300 pounds guy with what On3 says 3 years of eligibility. So another addition and more depth at worst case.
Yeah, he's a depth piece, and I have no idea what his weight was on 24/7. He's listed at 320. ESPN has him at 300, and Charlotte's roster had him at 280. Yeah. So I have no idea.
All over the place.
So I don't know if you're getting like a speed 3 technique guy or a run stuffer, but right. You got a body on the defensive line. You always need more of those. I kind of think he might redshirt this year unless he just kind of blows people away. I mean, he's coming from a much lower level of competition. He's coming in late, so he didn't have all the spring practices. So he might end up redshirting, but I mean, that's still good for, you're building depth for next year.
And this article says that he has 3 years left to play 2 seasons, meaning he has that redshirt year. So he can only play 2 seasons, but he has 3 years where he can play total, unless that rule gets passed where you automatically all get 5 seasons, which is, a possibility. But yeah, I mean, it's another depth piece. It's not a guy that's going to probably play this year. I mean, especially if they're wording it as 3 years to play 2, that kind of points to he's probably going to be redshirted this year.
Yeah.
But he had his official visit earlier, I believe it was earlier this week. And out of that visit, he says the coaches were telling him that he can come in and play a lot. They let him know he can come in, help them turn the program around, and that was pretty much the most of it. And he's not going to enroll until June, and then he'll begin summer classes and summer workouts with his new Bulldog teammates. But that tells me he's probably redshirting because he's going to be starting so late.
Yeah, I would expect him to. And, he'll probably play those first 4 games, play what he can, and then he'll redshirt, just kind of see what he has on the field. But you like his size. He has some experience. So, yeah, I mean, that's the kind of guy you kind of want to get in, let him get in the weight room for a year, learn the system, and then you roll him out next year. And hopefully it's, a nice piece.
And he's got multiple years. I mean, 6'2" isn't the best of heights, but it's not a bad height either. It's not like he's I wouldn't really classify him as undersized. Now, that's if the 6'2's right. He could be 6 foot.
If he's 6'1", 280, he's undersized.
Yeah. I was about to say
just good sized.
It just depends exactly where he's at. But yeah, I mean, it's a guy that with multiple years. So you hopefully develops into something, maybe becomes a rotational piece, or maybe even a starter one day, but at least a rotational piece. But so now that's a guy that can help now, can also help in the future, possibly now, although we both think he's going to redshirt. Mm-hmm. A guy that's going to only help for the future because he's not eligible to help now is Brodie McWhorter. We talked about him yesterday. We talked about how Mississippi State was leading for him. Steve Wiltfong, I told you, when Steve Wiltfong puts a prediction in, something's up. And that's exactly what was up as Brodie McWhorter committed to Mississippi State on Thursday. And so that's just another big get. I mean, we talked about it at length on Thursday's podcast. And so if you want to know kind of our breakdown of him as a player, check out Thursday's podcast. But yeah, I mean, this is the guy that they targeted, was the top of their board at the position, and they landed him.
Yeah, and I see why he's top of his board. I had a chance to watch a little bit more of him after he was committed. he has an incredibly quick release.
Yeah.
That was something I noticed the more I watched was just how quick he can get the ball out of his hand. And he's smart. We talked about how
He zips it. He throws it hard.
How he's got some dog in him and he'll run some people over.
Yep.
He also knows when it's time to get down. I watched some more, and there's some times where he sees a guy coming and he's like, nope, now's not the time. And he slides. Yep. So he knows when to preserve himself, when to fight for those extra yards and a quick release. He's a good one to have in the fold. I am going to be interested to see how it plays out with having Kamario Taylor there, who's a freshman this year, and then another good quarterback coming in behind him.
Right.
What that battle is going to look like, who, if they both stay, who stays, all of that. Because with the transfer portal, who knows what happens.
Yeah, and he's a quarterback that runs a very similar system as Lebby already. He runs a lot of RPOs, which we know Lebby likes to have the quarterback run game involved. Ideally, obviously he has to have the depth behind him. That's why Kamario Taylor, we think, is going to be a perfect fit in this system. Obviously, he still makes some of the high school mistakes, even freshmen in college mistakes will make in terms of doesn't quite read the RPO correctly. And so but one time he threw off the tackle and then it was a triple option because he then threw it out wide and it went for a big gain. So he can make stuff happen when stuff breaks down. But yeah, I mean, you want a guy that kind of has the experience of running the RPOs, and with it being so prevalent in college, you're seeing more and more high schools running that offense.
Yeah, and you mentioned he does. You see it a lot on his highlight reels. Talk about Lebby likes to go deep. He wants to gain a lot of yards in a short amount of time. This guy's throwing bombs left and right. It is just go routes, post routes. So he's a perfect fit for it. You do hope. I'm not sure if, like we said yesterday, he's probably not somebody who's going to come in and just start immediately. So you hope he's good coming in, developing for a couple of years, and then taking over. Because if that happens, you might have something very special.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's this kind of prospect, but Lebby is really good at identifying quarterbacks early. Mm-hmm. Jackson Arnold, I believe, was a 3-star when OU really got in on him when Lebby was there as the offensive coordinator. Then obviously he had the huge senior season, blew up and became a 5-star, won the Elite 11. Like, I'm not saying that he's going to
a 3-star.
Yeah, I'm not saying Brodie's going to become that and become a 5-star, win the Elite 11 and everything. But it's a very similar case where and Arnold also was running Lebby's offense. And so it was very similar in terms of these are high school quarterbacks that maybe kind of be flying under the radar, have a lot of talent, and run the scheme already, and then you recruit him, and we'll see what he ends up becoming. But yeah, I mean, Lebby's got a good track record, and we'll see what he lands with his second quarterback now, because Taylor would have been the first one. So
yeah, and I expect McWhorter to end up being a 4-star by the time all is said and done, unless the senior season goes terribly, or if he gets injured or something. I would expect him to end up being a 4-star. And
that's the thing. Rivals, he's a 4-star, top 200 prospect, number 15 quarterback in the country. So Rivals is already seeing something. Seems like the other one is kind of, let's wait and see what he becomes. So that's another reason why we think he might be a late starter to it.
Yeah, you're right. Lebby's identified some QBs early. He's had track record with getting good production out of them. So
yeah,
I think that's something we'll see. Obviously the progress of this team as a whole depends on what happens with the defense, but if Lebby gets his offensive stalls, he's starting to get his quarterbacks in, at least it's going to be exciting. If everything's going to click, it's at least going to be exciting to watch, and hopefully the defense comes along behind it.
Yeah, the defense has to get much better than what they were last year. I mean, it was pathetic, but we think it's going to be improved this year. We'll just have to wait and see. Because if it's not,
the odds are it's going to be improved.
Right, it can't get much worse. But the worst, if it does get worse, or the offense doesn't progress like we think it's going to, you're looking at another 2-10 long season. Yeah, for sure. All right, coming up next, Saturday Down South released their SEC football rankings. We're going to give you Mississippi State's ranking, but also kind of give what our surprises are of the top 16 and who we think is too high, who we think is too low. We'll bring all that to you. That's coming up next.
Get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400-plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. and need help with an order, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, so Saturday Down South put out their post-spring power rankings is what they've put out. And if you've watched the SEC squad show that released yesterday, you kind of have my general thoughts on it, but I wanted to dive into it a little more. Obviously, Mississippi State, you go 2-10, you're last. You're ranked number 16. It says the Bulldogs didn't have a single player taken in the 2025 NFL Draft. They're the only team to earn that distinction. And it's not like it's because a ton of talent is returning to Starkville. Coach Jeff Lebby is in the middle of a big-time roster overhaul at Mississippi State. I don't think there's light at the end of the tunnel until 2026 at the earliest. So when you first see that, what's kind of your general thoughts?
I mean, why is he got to throw shots about no one being drafted? But
Right.
I mean, he's not wrong. And we've said it every time we've looked at these things from coach rankings and team rankings. When you go 2-10 and it's the coach's second year, you're still in improvement mode, and they haven't proved anything yet. So still a little ways away from being able to, say that we should be higher up in the rankings than what we are.
Yeah. When you go again, I've said it and I said it on the squad show, when you go 2-10, you don't have an argument to be higher right now. Like
unless someone went 1-11, you don't have an argument.
Yeah. And while we both think they're a better team than Kentucky and will be better than Kentucky, who's ranked number 15 in the power rankings, till you do it doesn't matter. And so we'll have to see what they end up doing. But I want to go through the other top, 15, since we already know who's 16, and kind of tell me what you think are a surprise of this. And I'll kind of give mine afterwards. But Texas is number 1, LSU is 2, Georgia 3, Ole Miss 4, Texas A&M 5, 6 is Alabama, Florida is 7, Oklahoma is 8, 9 is Auburn, 10 is South Carolina, 11 is Missouri, 12 is Tennessee, 13 is Vanderbilt, 14 is Arkansas, and 15 is Kentucky. So, Kyle, what sticks out to you? Because there's two that stuck out to me the most.
Ole Miss at 4 jumped out, and Auburn being ahead of South Carolina.
Okay,
I think Auburn should be lower. I would pick South Carolina. I don't know how much higher because those top few are, it's kind of a bunch, but I would probably put South Carolina over Auburn, probably over Oklahoma. I mean, it's hard to say exactly, but they're in that tier. But Auburn, I believe, should be lower than that.
Yeah, Ole Miss was one that stuck out to me right off the bat. And I'm glad Jimmy from Locked On Bama went first because he brought up Ole Miss, so it didn't sound like I'm an Ole Miss hater when I had to say it next. But it's true. I mean, in the article, it says he's a believer in Austin Simmons, but what has Austin Simmons done? Like, he played – a drive against Georgia, and he did well in that drive, but
it's a drive.
Yeah, it's a drive, and Ole Miss loses a ton from last year. So, and that team was, and this is why I can promise you it's no hate, because I thought that team should have been in the college football playoff last year. Now they stumbled down the stretch, and that's why they didn't end up making it. But I thought that team was so good last year. This year, they lose a ton of that. And most importantly, you lose the quarterback. And so usually we see teams get docked for that. And for some reason, Ole Miss didn't get docked for that.
They lost their receivers. They lost
defensive line. I mean, they lost a ton. The other one that sticks out to me is Tennessee at 12. And this is why. Before the Nico transfer, people had Tennessee as a playoff team again. Yeah. They thought they were going to be that good again. The funny thing is, he then enters the portal, and all SEC people and Tennessee people are like, yeah, he really isn't that good. Even national football, college football people, he's not that good. Like, he has not shown he deserves that money. That's what people said.
Yeah, very familiar.
So then when he leaves, why are they getting docked so much? You just said he's not that good, yet you're docking them a ton with him being gone.
Because even if he's not that good, you knew how good he was, and you don't believe in either of the quarterbacks on the roster.
Well, I think he's great. I think he's got
too.
potential to be
too.
great. I don't think he was great last year, but I think he has the potential to be great.
How many people are great in their first
right? But you can't on one side of your mouth say he's not that good. He doesn't deserve that money. He wasn't that good. Oh, and he's such a big loss that you're dropping all the way here, especially because they added a starting quarterback. And the one knock on Joey Aguilar was that he was very turnover prone. That's kind of been his knock. But if anyone knows the Tennessee offense, the Mississippi State offense, it's very similar.
Yeah.
It is, and it's funny to say this because it's like, well, every offense is designed not to turn it over. Their offense is designed to be so simplistic that you can't really turn it over.
Right.
Because it's such easy reads and easy decisions. Like, if this, all you have to do is read this one guy. And if he does this, you throw this. And if he does that, you do that.
Like that's the Baylor offenses.
It is. It is very simple, and that cuts down the turnovers. And so that's why I would argue almost, because if Nico's not going to hit the wide open bombs, which he was overthrowing a lot, Aguilar might be better for this because Aguilar hits those. His just issue has been turnovers, and we know this is an offense that's going to take those away for the most part.
Right. And that one did kind of stick out to me, but I understand the thought process of how you get there with, you lose the high rate quarterback. They lost a lot through the draft of their defense. They lost their receivers. They lost a lot. So I understand why they're down there. It's still kind of shocking to me, but I understand. And yes, you can talk out of both sides of your mouth. If you turned on any sports talk show lately, like the ESPN would have crumbled. ESPN would have crumbled if they couldn't do that.
Yeah, no, that's what they do. And another surprise to me is Florida at 7. I think a lot of people are drinking the Kool-Aid of DJ Lagway and how they ended the year.
Everyone wants a hot end of the year.
Right. And you guys got to remember, they had back-to-back losing seasons. Mm-hmm. And then they were 4-5 to start this past season. A back-to-back losing season under Napier. I believe it was 3 straight overall, but 4-5 to start last year. Then you went on the 4-game win streak and everything's fixed apparently. And I'm high on Lagway, don't get me wrong, but if you go back and look at those 4 games, he didn't play well. It's not like he just lit it up and that's what carried him, and that's why you have, like, you saw the talent, you saw what he can be, but it's not like he lit it up and played this unbelievable football.
No, he didn't. And everyone is riding that hot streak, and you hear it every year, like, oh, this team won their bowl game and returns their quarterback, and then they're in the top 25 because that matters. I get that they did those 2 things. I mean, that's just classic way too early ranking of something. Oh, they have so many starts coming back. It's one of them's the quarterback. They were hot at the end of the year. Let's bump them up. So, I mean, again, don't think they're that good, but I understand the thought process of how the person making the list got there.
Well, and everyone says as a player, you make your biggest jump, especially as a quarterback, in between your freshman and sophomore season. Well, this spring, he was not throwing because of a shoulder injury. They literally did not let him throw. And it's one of those injuries that they're like, he probably needs surgery, but if he doesn't now, he'll miss the season. So we're going to try to just manage him and get him through the season and then have the surgery, which almost never works out.
It never works out. That's the worst path you can go. The only time that's a good plan is like, we have 3 games left. We just have to manage this.
Yeah.
We have a whole off-season program and a season. Let's manage this.
They should have just did the surgery as soon as the season ended. Yes, and don't let him play in the bowl game. Just have the surgery and move on, and then he'd be fine. But yeah, I mean, that almost never works out. That they
no, it doesn't.
And I'm not wishing injury. I hope he doesn't get hurt. I hope he has a great year, then has this surgery at the end of the year like he's wanting. But it just usually doesn't work out.
It usually doesn't.
Yeah. All right, so coming up next up in Starkville, that's a new segment we're doing. We're going to be doing it every Friday. We'll be telling you what we're looking forward to either this weekend, next week, whatever it is. We'll tell you that. That's coming up next. All right, well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, next up in Starkville, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to some softball.
Okay.
First time that Ole Miss and Mississippi State meet as ranked opponents, which, I mean, that's awesome. First of all, that's just a cool thing when something like that happens. And this is a big one. We've talked a lot about how this softball team has proven they can hang with the big dogs. They just can't quite push it over the limit. And Ole Miss is a team kind of in the same tier this season
Yes.
as Mississippi State is. And so if they go out and either sweep, win 2 of 3 convincingly, then you solidify yourself as we might not be that one of those 3 or 4 elite teams, but we're right there. We're someone that you have to pay attention to.
Yeah, I mean, you're 35-15 on the season. We talked about the series against Oklahoma was kind of a measuring stick. You got swept, but you're in a lot of the games, and it just didn't go your way. Ole Miss comes in, you're a pretty equal team, like you mentioned. Series at home, you got to win the series. Even if that's 2-1, you got to win the series. It's the last series of the season before the SEC tournament starts next week. So it's a big one. I mean, this could affect your seeding in the tournament because this is a team that obviously is going to make the tournament. They're both ranked. And like you mentioned, I mean, it's the first time ever both these teams are ranked, which is crazy to think about. But that's another reason why you want to win it, because both teams are very good this year. So we'll see what ends up happening. They were one of my things that I was looking forward to. But since you went softball, I'm going to go baseball. I mean, the reason why is Kentucky's in town. So both series this weekend are in town, Kentucky and then Ole Miss for the softball team. It's a big series because next week you've also play Ole Miss, but this week you have Kentucky. You have Nick Mingione in town, the head coach for Kentucky,
possible future head coach
of Mississippi State. We've already talked about that earlier this week. If you missed our hot board show, definitely check that one out. So I think this was something that I don't think it was a coincidence, the timing of the firing, because I think that they, out of respect for Lemonis, didn't want to have him under contract, not knowing what he's going to be doing after the season, and also talking to Nick Mingione when he's in town. Because I think, I haven't heard, but I would be surprised if a conversation doesn't happen.
Yeah, I love that you're just running with this conspiracy theory almost. Yeah. It's the best thing. You're going to have someone post it up in different restaurants and they're just waiting to see if someone rents a back room through the back door to have a meeting.
We need like a bus stop watch, or I always love airplane season, flight tracking and all that stuff. But you already know they're coming in here, so wouldn't be a surprise. But I think they're going to talk. I just think even if you're not going to hire
a little like, hey, what do you think?
Right, and you have to do your due diligence. Exactly. And so he's a coach that obviously they won the SEC regular season last year, I believe, and so he's a very good coach. He has ties. I just think it makes a lot of sense.
It does.
And so I'm not saying that's who I want to be the coach. I'm not saying he is going to be the coach. I'm just saying I think this is going to be a big weekend. And also it's a big weekend for Mississippi State just in general, just getting back on track. They played great against Memphis, which they should have. Memphis is not any good. And you needed to take care of business, and you did. 18-5 in 7 innings. You're coming off the Auburn series where you won 1 out of 2 or 1 out of 3. One loss was close. The other loss, not as close. And so you got some series here at the end of this season that you want to end with at least some pride.
Yeah. And I'm interested to see what the post Lemonis era looks like. I mean, obviously no one thinks Parker's going to stick around and be on coaching staff, head coach, nothing like that. But sometimes just the different voice being the one leading the room just changes the vibe for a little while. And the bats keep rolling like they did against Memphis. I mean, we might be in for a fun couple weeks here before the end of the year, which, I mean, that would be a good way to end it. Just we all know this team not going to, make a run unless something miraculous happens. But, let's put up some good wins, have some fun along the way.
Yeah, let's be entertained at the end. It's not the NFL where if you get the worst record, you get the top pick and all this stuff. Like, there's nothing to tank for.
We've already fired the coach. We don't even have to win for that. Like, let's go win some games now.
All right, go out swinging. And even if you don't lose or don't win, make it a 10-11 game. I don't care. Like, make it fun to watch. And go to, like I said, go down swinging. So, overall, that's a lot of exciting things happening in Starkville this weekend. So if you have some free time, definitely check out one or the other or both. Go to both of them if you can. But all right, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Portal Show. Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape. find the portal on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, I'm Jaron. Check out my work over on Athlon Sports, a lot of college football, college basketball, some NBA if you're into that as well. That's Landon. Follow us over on Locked On Mississippi State. We're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, posting daily videos on all of those. So check out our videos over there. Answer our question. We always post a question at the bottom of all these YouTube videos. So answer our question there. We also post a poll with another question. It's a separate question. So we'd love your feedback on that. And suggest some stories. If you want us to talk about something, any kind of topics, we'd love to hear your feedback on that as well. All right, well, have a great weekend. And until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.